Joining us is Wahid Beheshti, a political activist and founder of Iran Front, joining us from London. Thank you so much for being with us here. Once the military strikes began against Iran a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, there was quickly talk in the international community about a possible momentum for the people to rise up and demand a regime change. After the ceasefire, though, people were celebrating in Iran's victory in the streets. Clearly, very different narratives presented here. Did this backfire domestically for Iran, or how would you describe the situation right now?
No, so thank you for having me here. It's let's look at the situation where we are at the moment. You talked about Ali's Khamenei video today. Just look at the videos, pay attention that has been recorded deep under the ground from hidden like a rat in tunnels, and pay attention to the tremor of his voice. He barely can speak, Ali Khamenei, from that. And it's not just us paying attention to these, their own forces. So you pay attention to the statement of the armed forces of the Iranian regime 2 days ago that gave warning to the forces who flee from the military bases and the military force will face severe punishment, which we know is death sentence. So the regime is on the brink of collapse. They know that. They cannot compare themselves with 2 weeks ago before Israeli attacks. Those people you saw in the streets of Tehran, you mentioned 2 days ago, they were celebrating. They are just little bunch of followers of the regime, Basij and IRGC's forces. They've been organized by the regime, part of the propaganda which Ali Khamenei is continuing. You see that in the speech of Ali Khamenei today. So the other expert in the studio described how Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan has been completely destroyed from one side. Their military, Basij and IRGC bases has been completely destroyed. Top commanders, we have numbers of more than 1,000 top commanders, thinker, decision makers of the IRGCs and Basij and other military has been eliminated. The symbols of the authority and the power of the regime, like the main gate of Evin prison, like their TV stations, which was the main place of the propaganda and the place which they were forcing these innocent prisoners to confess against themselves, same as Stalin, has been destroyed in front of the eyes of 80 million Iranians. So the regime knows better than all of us how weak they are. They are on the brink of collapse, and they are attempting to buy time. They are falling in the state of absolute desperation. That's why you see all these 700 arrests and hanging 4 people so far with the accusation and the label of being a spy for Israel. People will rise up. I said all this to get to this point. So the people are rising up in Iran. It's very complicated, but now it's completely different to all this uprising we had since 2009. Now Iranian people have confidence that they have the Israeli forces next to them. This uprising, which the world will see very soon, is going to happen. It will accompanied with Israeli forces. Why? Because now the skies of Iran is completely under the control of Israel. Not just the skies. If you look at the head of the armed forces of Israel yesterday, he says in these 12 days, even the special forces of Israel were busy doing operation on the ground. And yesterday, the head of Mossad says our presence even now more in Iran. This morning, Khomeini base of ballistic missiles was exploded. Of course, it's been 2 days that we heard about, we are seeing the ceasefire, but the operation you can see in different places in Iran is continued. And let's look at it from the Israeli point of view. I'm going to make it short now. Right. From Israeli point of view, this is a great achievement for Israel. Israel is not going to repeat the great cost, financially, human, and internationally cost that incurred is not going to repeat it again. Israel military and intelligence knows more than all of us the nature of this regime is against Israeli and against Jews. So it's not going to give them second chance. The ceasefire is part of the plan, and Iranians are getting ready for the final uprising, which I think this time definitely we are going to overthrow the regime, and they are waiting for the elimination and assassination of more, this time, political figure and high officials, clergies of the regime, which we are going to see. Now moving to the next question.
Right. I want to ask you, you're speaking with a very strong sense of security that the Iranian regime is on the brink of collapse. This time the people are going to rise up. How do you see this developing over the next weeks and months? What can we expect to hear coming out from Iran? How is this all going to change?
As I said, so you mentioned how confident I am, because this is my job. This is my life. As you see, I'm in the street. Today is 855 days we are campaigning in front of Foreign Office in order to place IRGC on the terrorist list. So I am every day in different meetings with the different groups in Iran, preparing ourselves for a final uprising. Of course, it wasn't logical under the severe strikes of Israel, the precise strike of Israel. The people of Iran come to the street and start their uprising. But now the Iranians, from the point of view of the even neighbor countries, this paper tiger is being revealed, their mask. So for years we have said Iranian regime is nothing than paper tiger. Just look at them now. So even their own forces, as I said, they start escaping and flee from their bases, military bases. So Iranian people are getting ready for this moment, for the final moment. And as I said, they have confidence. This time, Israel is with them. Just look at the great and very clever action of Mossad from yesterday. Mossad introduced one really famous, nice figure, Mr. Menashe Amir, who used to run the Israeli Farsi radio. When I was 4 years old, my granddad always used to listen to Israeli radio, and I grew up with the voice of Mr. Menashe Amir. Now Mossad introduced this great figure as the representative of Mossad to connect with Iranian people, take their concerns, take their requests. And again, another thing, few hours ago, Mossad introduced their medical service to Iranian people. So as I said, this ceasefire is part of the plan. Israel knows more than all of us. And the same as Iranian, we cannot give another chance, second chance to this regime. So we are going to repeat all this war and all this cost next few years. We are on the right path in order to destroy this regime in entirety.
All right, Wahid Beheshti, thank you very much for joining us in this broadcast. Appreciate it.
Thank you.